Did you happen to listen to the soundtrack before we did this?
I did not. I'm
That-
only familiar with the Godsmack song.
That is okay. I will tell you that if you know that song, you probably know the rest of the album because all the songs sounds exactly the same.
I mean, that song stands alone.
It sure does. It sure does. Welcome to the newest, actually new episode of Movies from Green Hell. I'm Dylan, and just doing a little housekeeping here to get started. Like I said, first brand new episode. Everything before this was previously recorded and was featured on the Patreon and briefly was on Toilet of Hell. Toilet of Hell. I shouldn't just try to say that as one word. But now it lives here on the Diary of Doom feed, and you'll be able to find updates about that on the Diary of Doom Instagram page. For any newcomers, this podcast is going to be looking at movies that boast a heavy metal soundtrack. I use that term loosely, in some cases probably, or a heavy metal vibe or something along that manner. And probably some stoner flicks as well. And occasionally there might be crossover between those two subgenres. We'll talk about the heavy metal songs used in the movie and then the movie itself, and then probably some other shit we've been checking out, whatever else is on our minds. Last episode, we had Kit from I Hope You Suffer On, and he's back for the, I don't know what you would call this, season 2 opener.
Round 2.
Fight! So my beer is about to overflow. We're off to a good start. Welcome back, Kit. Thanks for stepping in.
Yeah, of course. This is a much more watchable film than the last one.
Yeah, so Kit had to...
It's a dog shit movie. It's better.
Kit had to sit through Jonah Hex for the first and probably last time on the last episode.
Yeah, and, God, I hope it's the last time.
It was a fun listen back, how much you fucking hated that movie. Nathan was supposed to join us at the time, but his internet gave out, so he lucked out. But he made himself watch it anyway, which I don't know why any sane person would, but there you go. Sorry, Nathan.
Not that sorry.
But this time we decided to do a movie that's in some ways very similar vibes, but in my opinion, infinitely better. For how kind of ridiculous it is. 2002's The Scorpion King. I'm sure a number of people remember this coming out and having a very specific track in it that defines it as a, quote, heavy metal movie. But Kit, what's your history with The Scorpion King? As I understand it, I've heard through the grapevine that you are actually a big fan of this movie. Possibly.
I don't know. I don't know who would have told you that. Rude liar person. I remember I was big wrestling kid. I'm still a big wrestling kid. Huge fan of The Rock. Was still watching as he started, getting into Hollywood. And his first big thing was he was in The Mummy Returns, and he was the Scorpion King, which, surface level, that sounds fucking cool as hell. You've got The Rock, one of the coolest dudes in the business, and he's going to play the Scorpion King. I'm in.
That
shows up
badass.
In that movie. He's really cool for 20 seconds at the start, and then you don't see him until the last 10 minutes of the movie, and he's awful PlayStation 2 graphics. What the fuck?
It's so bad. Even for its time, it's not good.
Yeah. Being a child, it's well, he looks super cool. And then, not long after that, I'm like, hey, this did really well. We're going to do a prequel, Scorpion King. Absolutely, I want to watch The Rock fuck shit up as the Scorpion King.
Pre-Scorpion mode.
Yeah, pre-Scorpion. That pre-Scorp life.
I remember at the time being I think it looks cool, but not because it actually looks cool. I like the idea of a half scorpion, half person as like a monster. It's cool. It's like a classic kind of
Yes.
monster thing. But not when you're trying to have, as you said, PlayStation 1 level graphic renderings of The Rock. I mean, it was like a hair above like current WWE and WWF wrestling games at the time. It was so bad.
Yes. There's, oh my God. Like, it didn't look good at the time. So now it's like, what in the hell were we even doing?
Like, I'm trying to think of something that even like comes close to how goofy that was at the time.
Yeah.
Like, that was such a standout. And you see a little bit of it in the trailer too. I remember, and being like, oh man, he's gonna be like a big scorpion monster. You're like, oh, ew.
Yeah.
Like, it makes the giant sand face look really cool
100%.
compared to dumb Scorpion Man.
Yeah.
So
it's like
thankfully we don't get that in this movie.
Incredible. Like they made the sand look just like the face on Mars. Like, wow, so realistic in comparison to fucking Dwayne Scorpion over here.
Dwayne Scorpion.
I was all excited for a spin-off prequel thing, so obviously went and saw it because I was a child and was super entertained because like that and Chronicles of Riddick was like dumb seal clap, like, aha, it's delightful. And then, you watch it back when you're 30 and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is a nothing of a film.
It is pretty much that. Like, for me, obviously we were talking about the Mummy Returns. Like, I love the Mummy, the first one. Like, I'm a big fan of that movie. I even like the Mummy Returns despite the bad, rock scorpion thing. No brainer for me to be a big fan of this at the age of 12. Right. Side note, The Mummy 3 fucking sucks. That movie blows. Just putting that out there. But I definitely saw The Scorpion King in the theaters, maybe a couple of times. Definitely watched it a lot on TV. Played a Game Boy Advance game version of it. Something about something like about
side-scrolling game, right?
Yeah, something about ISIS, not the god, not the band or the terrorist organization. And I read the book, the novelization. Remember when those were things?
Oh, shit.
You know what I found out the other day is Sylvester Stallone wrote the novelization of Rocky 2, but wrote it from the perspective of Rocky in Rocky's voice.
That's fucking fantastic.
So we're trying to track down a copy of that, my friends and I, and maybe read it.
I really like, just as a side note, there's like been a recent kind of trend of older horror movies getting like novelizations now from people. Way into that. We should keep that up. My Bloody Valentine just got one for some reason, but why not?
Interesting. Because I used to read a lot of those as a kid, a lot of the movie adaptations, and oftentimes I'm like, this is better than the movie. Like, there's just ideas are fleshed out better and stuff. I don't know, but we're not talking about how this improved the Scorpion King.
Yeah. Sadly.
Also, I recall that the Scorpion King action figure was fucking terrible. So let's have a quick look at that real quick, because I think it's how the fuck do I do this? It's under. They changed this damn thing around. Let's have a quick look here at this.
Yes, I don't remember the action figure. Holy Christ!
I mean, like, just that is not The Rock. I'm sorry.
He looks like Rob Schneider.
Like, if you took Rob Schneider's face and like combined it with like Putty from Seinfeld.
Yes.
It's so terrible. Horrific. It doesn't even look like it looks nothing like The Rock. I do not remember him trying to like pinch a loaf in the middle of this movie.
He's got like really twiggy arms too. It's like this was back before The Rock was like clearly using steroids. Like, maybe he was using a little, but stronger than that.
Sarah remarked like how actually like much smaller he looked in this movie compared to like him now.
He just looks like a normal like strongish guy.
Maybe like comparable to like Arnold when Arnold was kind of at his peak. Like
Yeah.
he was big, like he was just like a big dude and shit. And then now it's just like, oh my god, this man is a
Yeah.
mountain.
He used to be a guy who goes to the gym, and now he's like, he's eating all of the cod in the world, and he's like made out of stone and can like hardly move his arms because he's so big.
He just looks like kind of like awkward when he fights people now.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, yeah, you could absolutely beat the shit out of everyone, but if they just kind of like move at the right angle, you can't reach them. Or like if they get behind you, it's like having an itch on your back you can't get to. But it's his entire back. You just can't reach back there.
He's like he's kind of like Michael Keaton Batman, can't really like turn around. He's like,
Yeah,
if you
can't
get
turn
around
his-
side of him, like,
move
and you
your
just
whole
sort of
body.
like, if you circle strafe the Rock, you can
Yeah.
take him out and then just throw projectiles at him.
His traps are too big. You can't turn his head. You just gotta move the whole body.
But I think I agree with you that like my biggest gripe with this movie is that it's not more of like a bad good, despite it being really goofy. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of not bad as a really dumb action movie because it's not totally incompetent, which is kind of surprising that it's not like more like just batshit crazy. I feel like the early 2000s action movies generally played it kind of safe, you know, like there was not a lot of like really crazy shit that was going on in them because it was such a weird, fragile time for cinema.
Yeah. This feels very much like it's a cartoon. It's so over the top and very silly, but not in like a super wacky way. Just like in a look. Can you believe The Rock just did that? That's so crazy.
Oh, he did the thing that we fully expected him to do. Everyone expected him to do that. That's
Yeah.
not weird.
Like the entire film is like, you know, that section of Beyond Thunderdome where Mad Max, like, he encounters the kids and it's just like,
Actually,
kind
I
of
have
really
not seen
annoying.
Thunderdome yet. That's the only one I haven't
Oh,
seen of the
okay,
Mad
cool.
Max movies.
Spoiler alert, there's a really annoying like hour stretch where he finds some kids in a waterfall and it's like weird little whimsical side adventure. Or like if you've seen The Last Jedi, like
Yes,
the whole
of course.
casino sequence. This whole film is the casino sequence. Just all of it.
Like, why did this happen?
It's just why is this happening? It's just wacky hijinks. Like,
Yeah, you somehow have like a New York Jewish stereotype basically in this movie almost too. There's a lot of strange things that exist in this film given the time that it came out. Was very surprised to see that this was directed by Chuck Russell, who's actually made some good movies. Like, he did Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Blob remake, which I'm a big fan of, and The Mask, which is a huge blockbuster film.
like,
and it's pretty good too.
Yeah, as a kid, that was like a major thing. Like, The Mask was everywhere for a long time. So his name popped up at when the credits hit, and I was like, "What the fuck? Chuck Russell did this?" And then another surprising name was the next credit was for the screenplay, which included David Hayter.
Fucking Solid Snake wrote this movie.
I was like, bro, come on.
Solid Snake should stick to voice acting. The one thing that I always remember about David Hayter, besides obviously being Solid Snake, is that for many years he was trying to write the Lost Planet movie, which is a video game that I remember being really stupid.
I completely forgot about that. I completely forgot about Lost Planet, even.
Because it's very forgettable.
Yeah, they made 3 of them still.
What?
I don't know a single
That's insane.
Played the first one, but they made 3 somehow.
Jesus. That's unfortunate.
Maybe David Hayter wrote 2 and 3. They would give him the movie, but they're like, just write some of the games. No one's going to buy them. Who cares?
I've got these scripts laying around. What am I going to do with them?
What if the planet had more ice?
Well, Snake, you could try selling them. Selling them? Snake, are you not familiar with the concept of selling something for profit? What's profit?
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Emma?
I just got to go back to this other ice planet.
Yeah, Chuck Russell also made some not good movies. I don't know what your feelings are on Eraser. I'm of the opinion it's not very good.
It's what I wish this movie was, and that it's not very good, but I find it very entertaining.
CGI crocodiles getting shot in the face.
It's the best sequence.
Like, everybody has been wanting Arnold to fight crocodiles, and that movie finally gave it to us.
What more could you ask for?
He also made a movie called Bless the Child, which I know nothing about. And then 2 movies with John Travolta, I Am Wrath and Paradise City. And if you haven't seen the clip of John Travolta saying the title of the movie, I Am Wrath.
Who the hell are you? I am Wrath.
Do yourself a favor and look it up. That movie looks like dog
I've
shit.
never seen that.
I haven't seen it either, and I don't plan on to, but I might drop that clip in there just for everybody.
You say that now. We're going to be back here in like 4 months. Watching that.
Yeah, we're going to find out that Cannibal Corpse has a song, and they'd be like, oh, it qualifies.
Yeah. Oh, no.
There's also another notable name involved in this, co-produced by Vince McMahon. Typo. I wrote
Of
Vince.
course.
Good old Vince
He doesn't deserve
McMahon.
to have his name right.
But yeah, he's an executive producer only because he technically owns The Rock, like the title of The Rock. He obviously wanted to earn his keep for this one.
It's not in any way involved with the WWE like production studio, right? It's just Vince McMahon's name on it.
As far as I can tell, it is not involved in WWE at all. Like I don't recall there being a WWE logo in front of it, which I've now watched a few WWE movies, and it's very obvious when it is a WWE movie. They tell you as much.
Wrestling rings show up.
But that being said, I could totally see how this could be mistaken for a WWE movie, because looking at it now, I'm like, God, you can tell this is a movie.
I was going to joke that there's probably at least one WWE produced movie that's better than this, but I really don't think there is.
No,
this is that I've seen.
This is still way better than
Leprechaun Origins or whatever.
Oh, I forgot they produced that for some fucking reason.
With Hornswoggle as the titular character.
I'll get around to watching
What synergy?
What synergy? But this movie does have kind of an interesting cast. Obviously, you've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Matthias of Akkad. He's an Akkadian, so that's Akkad? I don't really know how to say that properly. I just know how to say he is of Akkadian heritage, or the Scorpion King, if you just want to call him that. And then you've got Stephen Brand as the villain, Memnon. He is 1,000% not Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Kelly Hu as Cassandra the Sorceress. Grant Heslov as Arpid. Bernard Hill, King Theoden from The Two Towers as Phylos. I feel like I've seen the guy Grant Heslov in some other things. I don't remember what though. The late Michael Clark Duncan as Balthazar. He's like probably the best thing about this movie.
Oh, 100%. So I knew that he had died, but I did not realize it was 11 years ago. I thought it was more recent than that, and I was like, what?
I know.
I was like, surely I've seen him in something recently.
And you're like, oh no, they had to recast him in the Sin City sequel with the Allstate guy. I've never seen that movie, and I feel like it's dog shit.
Yeah.
Because I used to love the first one. Like, I loved the first one when I was younger, and now I'm probably like, it's probably not as good as I thought it was when I was a kid.
One devastating thing about growing up, all of the wonderful things. Well, not all of the wonderful things. A lot of the wonderful movies, anyway, you enjoyed. It's like, oh, no.
This doesn't check out.
Yeah. This was not good, actually.
And yeah, I'll tell you one thing that did not hold up about this movie is the soundtrack. So this was very new metal heavy. I mean, they really like kept it in the lane for this soundtrack because, you know, I feel like with heavy metal soundtracks, usually you get like at least a little bit of variety. You know, you'll get some death metal, some industrial metal. Maybe you'll get like if you're lucky, you'll get like a faster doom band or something like that. You know, a lot of thrash, definitely in like the 80s and shit like that, of course, and hair metal. This is just fucking every single big new metal, like butt rock band of the 2000s that you could get because they were ready to sell their music for movies.
An absolutely ridiculous lineup on this.
Yeah.
So you've got Rob Zombie and Ozzy Osbourne together.
And that song is not good because it's Ozzy produced to out the wazoo, plus record scratching, plus Rob Zombie basically scatting the entire time. And it's like, I enjoy some Rob Zombie tracks. I'm not going to lie. I like White Zombie, and I expect a combination of these two to be like, at worst, a generic collaboration. This is generically uninspired collaboration. It's so bad. It sounds like it was recorded in like 3 different countries and they had to send the files together to build it. It's really bad.
They're like trying real hard to level everything properly and just gave up halfway through. Like,
also, I feel like none of this music is in the fucking movie. And if it is, it's just instrumental parts that you can't really hear that you can't really like hear because everything else is going on. The only 2 tracks that I swear are in this movie for real, it's the Godsmack song, I Stand Alone, of course, which everybody knows that. It stands alone as being the corniest fucking song ever. And then of all the tracks on here, the Mushroom Head song.
That's very surprising when they've got, like, they even have a Nickelback song.
Oh,
like, Nickelback was huge at the time.
Creed.
Yep. Hoobastank.
That song was rough. I don't know if it's like fair to dunk on them, but like I do not like that band. That is not something that should still be like headlining festival circuits. It's crazy.
It's super crazy. Always wonderful to see Cold Chamber involved with anything.
I have spent so little time with Cold Chamber, so when this came on, I was like, what the fuck is this? It's just a cacophony of sounds. And I guess they're reuniting for this like big, really weird, heavy, well, whatever you want to call it, heavy metal festival in Vegas that's not Psycho Las Vegas.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's really odd because you have bands like Skinny Puppy and the Melvins and Monster Magnet playing alongside a reunited Cold Chamber, Korn, and Evanescence, and a whole bunch of other really odd bands just like thrown together on a bill.
What a powerfully 2000s lineup, and also the Melvins.
But also, why is Killing Joke on this? Like, it just is so bizarre. It's odd. I don't know. It defies logic, but yeah. And every other song on here, it's like there's bands on here I've never even heard of. Flaw, 12 Stones, Lifer, Injected. I don't know any of these. I thought this was Breaking Benjamin. It was Breaking Point. Like, I've never heard of these songs. They all sound exactly the fucking same. I think the only song that was actually like good on here was System of a Down's track Streamline, which is not their best song, but
I like that song.
It was I didn't dislike it. It was just there's parts of it where I'm like, this doesn't really make any sense together, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, the song is working. It sounds cool.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I guess that's System for you though. So yeah, I can't recommend the soundtrack. Sorry for anybody that's like a hardcore fan of it. So
if you're really looking forward to listening to Ironhead or To Whom It May Concern by Creed, maybe just skip.
It's not even in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
So following the film's release, there were initial plans for a sequel with The Rock to return as Matthias and go up against a new villain named Sargon. But these plans eventually fell through and the project was shelved, which resulted in a direct-to-video prequel, The Scorpion King 2, Rise of a Warrior, which came out in 2008 and had Michael Coppin as Matthias and Randy Couture as Sargon.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this movie?
I have. I
Woo!
don't recall much from it because it was overshadowed by Scorpion King 3.
Battle for Redemption came out in 2012 with Victor Webster as Matthias and Billy Zane as villain King Talus.
Oh, yeah. You bet your ass. Billy Zane.
Was this overshadowed by the fourth film in the franchise? The Scorpion King 4 Quest for Power?
I was so disappointed in Scorpion King 4 because 3 was so awesomely stupid. You've got Billy Zane doing Kung Fu. Ron Perlman's there.
Oh, we got a Ron Perlman appearance.
There's a magnificent scene where this person comes in and he's like painted art for like the queen and it's supposed to be like her likeness. And it is legitimately on the level of that dude who restored the Mona Lisa and made it look all fucking goofy. And it's like that. But they play it totally straight. And he's like, thank you. That is a lovely gift. It's beautiful. She'll love it. And I was just like, what?
But how?
I don't think it was a joke. It was just like...
But how can you outdo the fourth one? It has Michael Biehn and Rutger Hauer and Lou Ferrigno and Eva Torres in it.
I know. But it was boring. 3 was not. 3 had river ninjas. Like someone was taking a piss in a river and then just a bunch of ninjas rose up out of the water and they started fighting through the forest. And I was like, yep, this is my shit. This is what I want out of any Scorpion King movie.
All right,
I think 3 might be the best one, whole series.
I'm going to have to watch all these movies now. Additionally, you have Will Kemp portrayed the villain of that film, Drazen, who was the distant ancestor of Victor Drazen from the first season of 24. Just pulled that out of my back pocket from many years ago. A fifth and final film, The Scorpion King Book of Souls, was released in 2018, starring Zach McGowan as Matthias and Peter Mensah as the villain Nebsarek, which I'm pretty sure is probably a one-man black metal band too.
Based on Scorpion King lore. No, that's a band.
Yeah, so a couple other things about the movie. The Rock has said that to give the Scorpion King character a life of its own, he intentionally shied away from using any trademarks of his WWF character, The Rock. The only exception was the people's eyebrow.
Very hopeful.
Yeah, they'll never know it's me.
Like, man, it's your first like movie. Like, come on, indulge a little bit.
The only exception was the people's eyebrow, which he does in response to another character's reference to their harem of women. He said he included it to acknowledge the millions and millions of Rock fans, and the score briefly includes his entry music. I missed it, sorry. Arguably the best trivia here, this was Bill Hader's last film as a production assistant. He'd freelanced on several film and television projects. I know, right?
That's legitimately shocking.
I know. He quit after working 20 hours straight one day on the film's Mystery Mesa set in California. The Rock later hosted Saturday Night Live when Hader was a cast member.
Can you fathom working a 20-hour day for the fucking Scorpion King?
I would love to know what it was like. I'm sure Bill Hader's just like, well, it was just really fucking boring. We just stood around. It was fucking hot. Half the day was spent just waiting for The Rock to get his all fucking makeup and long bad wig put on. And then we did one thing and called it a day. We had to break down a set. That's my Bill Hader voice.
Pretty good. That does remind me of one other qualm that I have with this film.
One?
Yeah. It looks so bad.
It looks like recycled Stargate sets.
Yeah. It looks like it's a set. Like it looks like they're filming a movie on it. It's not like in any way a lived-in world or anything. Like these are clearly just dudes in costumes, like just saying shit to each other, you know?
It's not even like a Raiders of the Lost Ark thing where like, yes, this is a set, but it's an immaculate set and it's a well-made set. And this is a movie that had a budget. Like even The Mummy had sets that were nicely done up. This looks so cheap, which is probably why everything is kind of shot at like top looking down angles,
down,
because then they don't have to like render the backgrounds with a lot of stuff. There's not a lot of expansive like sweeping shots of the desert in this movie, actually, which is why I'm like, this movie feels weirdly small. They just sort of like Skyrim fast travel from place to place.
Everyone's in like totally clean, immaculate looking clothes.
You've Kelly
got a
Hu
whole
looks
group of warriors
ridiculous in this
leather.
movie. She has like basically like Victoria's Secret, desert edition bras on. And I'm not trying to say that with disrespect to her. She's doing her best with what she's got. Yeah. Like, no shade to Kelly Hu. It's just like the presentation of this it's like no better than 1 million years BC with Raquel Welch. It's like the same fucking concept.
Yes. Yeah, I was so surprised. And like even like the film grain and the lighting just looks like dog shit. Watching it back now, it's like got that weird thing going on where whenever something's lit incorrectly and the film grain like kind of clashes with it, so skin doesn't look like normal skin. It's got like the kind of splotchy like circular zones.
Yes, where like it's not even like a focus thing. It's just that weird shadow effect where there's like some light and a shadow and it just catches things weird. And also because you have to make night seams blue.
Yeah. Yeah, this was very surprising. I was like, this movie had the popularity of a like actual franchise and a decent sized budget. Like, why does it look like dog shit? The Rock wasn't commanding this much money back in 2000 or whatever.
I mean, that being said, though, it quadrupled its budget. Basically, it was a $60 million budget, and it made $180.5 million at the box office. So it made a fuckload of money.
That's crazy.
I know, but but still, $60 million. That's definitely a lot of that went to The Rock.
Yeah,
I will say though, only like 90 minutes, which is totally perfect. Good. Yeah, which actually after initial edits, the movie was only 70 minutes long, so they had to shoot more things. I was like, what is this, Jonah Hex?
That's why it feels like just those kind of like, what the fuck was I gonna call it? Like a thrill ride, like a roller coaster kind of thing, where it's just like you're just on a ride kind of scenes. That's why, because they had to pad it out. Just like, oh, well, chase a kid through a bazaar for fucking 20 minutes. Who cares? We just need to pad out the film. Like, it doesn't matter.
And apparently early in the production, the villain role was written for Chow Yun-fat, and his manager, Terrence Chang, vetoed it, saying that Chow never plays villains and that doing so would betray his fans. I was like, why don't you just put Chow Yun-fat in the fucking movie then? It would have made it better.
Such a stupid reason. But it worked out so well for him.
He didn't have to be in the Scorpion
Chow
King.
Yun-fat. Yes. As the most forgettable villain of the 2000s.
And as I alluded to earlier, none of the actors in this movie are Iraqi/Mesopotamian, Egyptian, or Sudanese/Nubian. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Samoan and Afro-Canadian. Stephen Brand is Scottish. Kelly Hu is Chinese, English, and Hawaiian. Peter Facinelli is Italian. Bernard Hill is English. Grant Heslov is Ashkenazi Jewish. And Michael Clark Duncan was African American. Some consider this film an unofficial adaptation of the Conan the Barbarian stories. No, somebody on the internet said that, and somehow it's become fact on IMDb. Yeah, that's not true.
It's just become a thing. It's like taking on a life of its own. Like,
and also, this was another weird one that said it on here. Kelly Hu's character's powers and limitations are reminiscent of Jane Seymour's in the James Bond movie Live and Let Die. Why did anybody write that? Who wrote that? Why did you write that?
Was that on the IMDb trivia page? This is my favorite place on the internet because people just put the dumbest shit. Oh, he's named Dwayne. There is a famous actor from 1924 who was also named Dwayne. He had a scorpion one time. Like, that's fucking cool, man. Thanks. That was very helpful.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shares a name with the main character. Oh my god, this is what would happen though. His shares a first name with the main character Dwayne Hicks from Aliens, who was played by Michael Biehn, who would later go on to be in the 4th Scorpion King movie for some reason.
Yeah, right. Some goofy shit like that.
Let's get into the finer points of this movie. We open up with a one-eyed guy in the mountains somewhere receiving a throwing star directly to the face, and then a bandit leader drinking from a skull.
Strong start.
Yeah,
Immediately just downhill. Like,
So-
you waste no time setting your expectations too high and then blowing them.
this like
Ruining all that goodwill.
I know. Like, I was like, oh, this is kind of badass. You got this guy. He's drinking from the skull. He's bragging about killing all kinds of people, but he's never killed an Acadian.
Yeah.
Luckily, they have one, basically crucified up. Hooch, you want to get in on this?
Hooch. Huh? No, he's just gonna chew on his bone.
Oh my god. The noises.
The snorts.
So they're gonna kill this crucified Acadian. Also, the like outfits that, like I said, totally 1 million years BC outfits up in here. This Acadian guy's got some face tattoos as well that look like he got them done like yesterday in Sharpie.
Yeah.
But thankfully, his brother, the Scorpion King, drops in from the ceiling and kills a variety of people with a lot of painful looking arrows before drawing his sword and very quietly says, "Boo," as his first line of dialogue, and then makes everybody run away, and he fights people to ridiculous music.
Another thing this movie does not have going for it is all of the action scenes in this action movie are incredibly boring.
They are very straightforward.
It's just like in no way inventive. It's just like, I'm gonna roll you over a table and then like kick you and you're gonna do a backflip. And...
It's not even like they're using The Rock doing wrestling moves, you know?
Yeah. At least that, you know, you get the pop from being like, yeah, you rock bottom that guy through a table.
I feel like people would have been disappointed that he didn't do more like wrestling stuff. I didn't really have like, I wasn't a wrestling fan, so I was just like, oh, it's action, whatever. But I feel like now, knowing like the scope of how wrestling fans are, I feel like they would expect that. It was just like, nope, didn't happen.
Can you imagine how much better this movie would have been if at the end he just power bombed Memnon off the top of the like fucking wall that they're fighting on?
Memnon.
Memnon.
Memnon. Like, we'll get to him.
Yeah.
The Scorpion King beats the fucking shit out of everybody before he jumps down using a guy as a weight and pulls up a chandelier and kills the bandit leader by slamming him so hard into the roof he explodes.
Pretty cool.
I think also he was wielding like plastic moose horn weapons. They looked really fake. Like, as you said, this movie looks really cheap.
It's specifically every weapon. Like, that's not just for those like weird moose horn things. I mean, every sword, like any kind of spear or arrow, like this is all clearly rubber. Like, I don't know that this would even hurt if you actually hit someone with it.
It might leave like a mild rash.
Yeah. Just from whatever plastics they use. Like,
yeah. But anyway, he's dead, and the Scorpion King saves his brother. So time for some exposition. We find out about Memnon, who's the leader of this great horde of warriors, and he's leading this like giant campaign and terrorizing the land. And he's got this sort of really a handicap, so to speak, because he's got a sorcerer who can kind of predict all the outcomes of the battle. So he knows exactly what to do. So he's not really like a very efficient general. He's just lucky.
yeah. Lucked into having a sorceress. Like, come on, guy. Get good.
Using the Patriot Act of its time.
Yeah. He's got like, she's his own personal like game FAQs. Like,
if you take out this group first, it'll make things significantly easier before going this way, and then you can approach from the rear. So a bunch of the people, the different regions and representatives gather in, you know, the local park to figure out what to do about Memnon. And some of them don't believe that he can be defeated, like Michael Clark Duncan, who is here as Balthazar, and he says despite his efforts, he hasn't been able to stop Memnon. And then this like shithead provokes him into playing mercy, but then the Scorpion King shows up and stops him from killing him. And they decide to hire the Acadians, who I guess are like the last of their race, to stop Memnon. And they get a big bag of plastic jewels. Boom. All your backstory you needed.
What more could you need? It's all right there.
We meet the Scorpion King's camel, which involves some lines I have always remembered for some fucking reason. Horses are faster, but camels are smarter. And then this sets up the dynamic of The Rock talking to this fucking camel the entire movie.
Like, man, why do you need a smart animal to ride?
Apparently this camel was impossible to work with, because I remember watching like a making of thing and The Rock being like, oh, the camel was such an asshole, basically. Like just wouldn't do what it was told to do. Smart camel.
Camel smart, yeah. It knows what kind of movie it's on. I was like, fuck this. They're not paying me for this. I want no part.
So they sneak into Memnon's camp and we meet the funny guy of the movie. What's his name again? I can never remember. Arpin.
I have no idea.
I'm just gonna call him Funny Guy. Is that fine? We all know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This movie's Benny.
Exactly.
Scorpion Benny.
Yeah, he's Scorpion Benny. And he's a horse thief, and he's being threatened to have his tongue removed. He's tied up upside down, by the way. So the Scorpion King fires an arrow with a rope attached to it and swings down into the camp, but his camel, who has the rope tied to it, lays down and he falls into the camp and fights a bunch of dudes and saves the funny guy and then punches him out because he won't be quiet. And then he meets up with his brother. I love this, that he meets up with the other two Acadians and apparently all they had to do was just walk in.
Yeah.
Like The Rock had to go through all this trouble, loudly killed a bunch of people, and then they're just like, oh, we just went in through the front door. There are no doors. It's a camp.
Like, honestly, it's a good parallel for this movie, because in the movie there's that moment like right towards the beginning where The Rock could easily like let fire an arrow and fucking murder Memnon, right? And he just like doesn't. He waits like 10 minutes and then he's like, oh, now they're gonna kill the kid and I gotta save him instead. It's like, bro, if you had let that arrow go, you could have saved me an hour and 20 minutes of my life. Like, come on.
This is when we need to invent the technology that allows us to interact with movies so that we can like change the direction of the arrow and be like, oh, it's over. Let's see how the rest of the movie turns out. And then it just uses like AI to generate a really weird movie.
Yeah. AI generated Scorpion King.
I'm okay with
that.
Better
than the actual one.
I would be very okay with that. That seems like a good use of AI.
The only use, really.
They obviously get ambushed by archers. So despite being the greatest warriors of all time, they are very easily ambushed and get shot up.
Not terribly attentive.
No. The Scorpion King cuts into a tent to find the sorcerer, who we find out is a sorceress. Incredibly dramatic turn by Kelly Hu here, just like literally with like a whoosh and everything. And she's basically wearing Doctor Strange's cape and a diamond bikini. Like it is
2000s, wild time.
2000s. And she says that he has been betrayed, and then a bunch of guys fly in, and the Scorpion King kills a bunch more dudes. And like he does kill a lot of people in this movie.
That's true. Like this, you think this was the start of Dwayne's whole like I can't lose a fight. Like I have to look good in all of my fights thing. So he got drunk with power on Scorpion King, killing fucking 1,400 dudes.
I don't know, because I know that after this movie came out, the only other like really big action movie he did was The Rundown, which I like quite a bit. And then he didn't really do a bunch of action movies, like maybe a few here and there, but they were not remarkable. It took a while for him to like come back as like big action movie star, which he is now. So I don't know, but I do know that his like weird, I can't lose to anything. It's like Vin Diesel has the same thing. And I'm like, so you basically can't have these people in the same movie.
Right. It seemed like it popped up overnight. Like he was doing, like he did Rundown and Walking Tall. And then he
oh my God, like, Walking Tall is so like, stupid.
Yes. But he did like Gridiron Gang and Faster and I can't remember what else, like
The
weird,
Tooth Fairy.
like yeah, shit like that. And then he's in Fast and Furious, I guess, and now he's like one of the biggest action stars in the world, even though he hasn't made a good movie ever.
No, he really hasn't. Like Moana.
It's really incredible.
Like that.
I like Rampage. I'll give him Rampage.
What I have seen of Rampage, I have actually enjoyed, but that's simply because I have, a deep affection for kaiju movies.
Yeah,
So I
it
can
might be the
overlook
monsters
it.
carrying that one.
Oh, I think so. It's definitely the big flying werewolf monster.
It's him being best friends with a gorilla.
Yeah, it's another example of a movie where it's just like monkey.
Yeah. What more do you need? Worked for Super Mario Bros.
Oh man, I've been thinking about how much I think that, as insane as that movie is, it's got to be better than this new one coming out.
Oh yeah, 100%. At least it's weird.
Exactly. So anyway, the Scorpion King gets taken captive, and he meets Memnon finally. And we find out that the shithead from before obviously betrayed his father, carried his decapitated head all the way here to prove as much, and then they drag the Scorpion King's brother in, who Memnon kills with his own blade. I was laughing so hard now thinking back to and realizing how ridiculous it is that guy carried his father's dead head with him.
I feel like in movies, people are too trusting. Like, they take your word, like, I killed your dad. And it's like, oh, damn, he killed my dad. Like, sometimes you just gotta carry his head.
It's really fucking hilarious. The sorceress protests his death, not by Memnon's hands. So the Scorpion King gets buried in the sand up to his head along with the funny guy. They're buried around fire ant hills, and they use smoke to enrage the ants. This is so goofy.
It's amazing. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to die like that.
No.
So, kind of bought in on the scene. Like, oh yeah, nope, that seems unpleasant. Got to be a way out of this. It's when funny guys like, oh, I know how I'm gonna escape. See that guy? He's been drinking yak piss for an hour, so he's gonna go piss. Like, that's when it's like, wait, hold on, no, never mind, I'm out.
He's just gone through the magic of editing. They don't have any explanation for how this works. He's just gone. But
yeah,
yak piss.
The whole movie lynches. Like, it's lynched on yak piss. It's the whole pivot point.
He does knock this guy out, and then a bunch of CGI ants kill him. Looks so bad.
If you want to watch a good giant killer ant film, Marabunta, way cooler murderous ants. Look better too.
I've never heard of that movie, but I want to watch it now.
A+. On Prime, check it out, everyone. There's no Dwayne Johnson, which is arguably a positive.
The Scorpion King agrees to not kill the funny guy in order to get him out. So he blows the alcohol / yak piss onto a torch to roast the ants. And Scorpion King also has to eat one and kill one with his chin. And then funny guy starts pulling them off his face, including the line, "Oh my, here comes the mother." And then they just cut to them being out of the fire ant pit.
Admittedly, pretty good gag to have The Rock buried in sand and he's just like smashing ants with his chin.
I do agree.
Pretty solid.
Good sight gag. So there's no explanation again for how they actually get out of it. It's just editing. Like, this is what I mean by like fast travel. They just get out of these situations. They are just like, just cut it here. It's fine. We don't need to show the resolution of this.
It's like a Rescue Me. If anyone's watched Rescue Me that's listening, every season was a cliffhanger, and it's like, oh my god, how are they going to get out of this? Like, well, tune in next season, and the next season picks up like 6 months after the fact, and it's like, boy, that sure was crazy that happened, and we got out of it. Whatever. Exactly like that.
Incredible. I want to note as well, I had to watch this on Plex, and it took fucking forever because of the buffering.
Oh my god.
Dude, I appreciate the
Plex
convenience of Plex, but goddamn, it cannot support a lot of streaming.
Plex is a great media server service, but trying to watch any movies that they actually have on the platform is hell. It is literally hell.
I'm very appreciative for my access that it provides, but man, sometimes it is an infuriating device or app. So back at Memnon's kingdom. All right, hold on. This guy, like, he is such a fucking like loser villain. Like, I do not like this guy at all. He sucks.
He's not good. He's like a nothing. He's just, why are you here? Like, there's
Nom,
nothing
nom,
interesting
nom,
about
nom.
him. Yeah. His name is the most interesting thing about him. Like,
ooh, he can catch arrows.
yeah, like who cares? You did it the one time, and then the rock shot you with an arrow, and you died. Like,
yeah. Oh, spoiler alert.
yeah. It's not a good payoff. Like, nothing's ruined.
No. Back at Memnon's kingdom, the sorceress predicts that he will defeat Queen Isis, and he sends his men to prepare for the campaign. He says he will bring order to the world. And at this point, I was like, man, this guy really just reminds me of Sully Erna from Godsmack, but also British. He just has that like weenie guy vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's like a dude that he just rides his motorcycle on weekend, like weekend warrior guy. Like your typical like dentist Harley weekend warrior kind of guy. It's like, all right, pal.
Memnon was a dentist before he was a dentist before he started his fucking like borderline Templar-esque crusade.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also obviously got the hots for the sorceress. So they wind up, this is where his kingdom is, at the city of Gomorrah, and the funny guy has to get him into the city. To which he remarks, they have the city locked up tighter than a crab's buttocks. And I have never really thought about crabs having a buttocks.
I hadn't either. Like,
what a weird line.
Yes.
Anyway,
do you think he just ad-libbed it and no one had the heart to be like, oh, that wasn't
funny. No, I 1,000% think David Hayter was like, and then he makes a joke about a crab's butt. This is gonna win me an Oscar. Yeah.
Writing it in Solid Snake voice. Locked down tighter than a crab's butt.
I know all about crabs' butts from my strict survival skills out in the wilderness of Alaska where there's giant crabs. This makes me think of Crab Battle.
Crab Battle.
The Scorpion King ultimately winds up just punching him and knocking him out to collect the bounty on him because he is a horse thief, and then sets him down at a bar, complete with a sports bar waitress. And then walks by a guy selling swords who is clearly not saying the words coming out of his mouth. Like, terrible ADR right here.
I wonder how bad his delivery had to be to where it got dubbed over in this film. like the bar is very low here.
And then he walks by a brothel, and I was laughing so hard at this part because it's just like, what is happening? Where did they get all of this like Victoria's Secret makeup from? Hilarious. The Scorpion King manages to get outsmarted by a group of kids who steal his bag of jewels, and he chases them down and eventually finds one hiding in a vase. And after he coughs up one of the jewels, literally, he offers him one if he can get him into Memnon's palace, which they also do not show them doing this. They just walk in. Real good sneak.
Yeah.
To which he says, get ready. I'll kill half and you will kill half. The kid does a take and he goes, okay, I'll kill them all. Very funny. Like, only laughing because the line is so stupid. They actually go another way to get in, which takes them to King Theoden from the Two Towers, who's some kind of alchemist type guy working on essentially dynamite. And by that, I mean, he stole it from the Chinese. Like, he literally is just like, I stole it from the Chinese and then co-opted it and said it's my own thing. So just some classic British imperialism.
Classic white guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he is just like, oh, yeah, don't kill me. Memnon's out there. He sucks. Go kill him. Unsurprisingly, training in the training yard, just laying dudes out. Also want to note how white everyone's teeth is in this movie. Seems a tad unrealistic.
Very, very weird. Very white, very straight. Like, y'all have been taking care of your teeth. You've been flossing. This is...
Well, remember, Memnon was a dentist.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This is when we find out that he can catch arrows with his bare hands.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of him having a dental empire. Going through, like, setting up offices, like...
Just ripping people off with copays.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been saying that a lot because just everything you expect to happen in this movie happens. The kid gets captured, and the Rock, god damn it, the Scorpion King has to choose between killing Memnon or saving the kid. He obviously saves the kid. Scorpion King makes his way back to the alchemy lab and uses a giant catapult to escape. I'll just rephrase that. Scorpion King uses a giant, quote-unquote, experimental catapult to escape. I'm not really sure what's experimental about this thing. It's clearly used for, like,
no one survived the escape.
Put rocks in it. And I don't mean the rock. Unless that's what the joke was.
Damn.
Is that the joke? They put a rock in the catapult instead of an actual boulder? God damn it.
This changed my entire perspective on the film. I think it's very clever now.
Are you going to write like an edgy, passion-fueled article for like the Daily Beast to be like, this is actually why the Scorpion King is a genius film?
I'm starting the Scorpion King revisionism movement.
This is when he lands in the brothel / bathhouse. It's Memnon's harem, basically. And this is when we get the eyebrow from the Rock. And that's the entire reason this scene exists.
Yes.
As well as the women all steal his weapons literally in front of him, and he does not see this happen. Like, they are clearly not good warriors.
This leads to, I think, my favorite incredibly stupid scene in the movie. It's the guards break in, and they all go to, like, fire arrows at him and try and kick his ass. And there's, like, a giant gong. So he cuts the ropes on the gong and is behind it and is just, like, rolling it and
like
staying
a giant
behind
mobile
it.
shield.
Yeah. It just, like, rolls out of the room. Fantastically dumb.
Didn't they already do this in Temple of Doom?
I think so. Yeah, in the opening, right?
When they escape from the
or something.
No, I think it's like a big gong. I think they like cut the thing because the guy's shooting a machine gun at him. So it's literally just like recycled from Temple of Doom.
But much worse.
Like, and I'm also thinking you can just outrun them. They're shooting arrows.
Yeah, like
they're not that good. They have the aim of stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But this does, oh my god, this part too is so fucking hilarious. He has to jump out of a window and he crashes through the roof, to which a guy is like, go after him. That's a great bit in movies when a guy just like willingly sacrifices two of his goons to like chase them, and they immediately die because they hit the roof, and the Scorpion King goes through like a thin window grating.
The one soft part.
Yeah, and lands in like a gigantic bathroom that's obviously where the sorceress is, and she rises up out of this massive bathtub in like the most sexy photo shoot manner possible, with like rose petals in the water and her hair perfectly covering up her breast because this is a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
I was laughing so fucking hard at this scene because it's just like a fucking L'Oreal commercial.
It's so perfectly cliche. They nail it beat for beat what you would expect out of that scene.
She even manages to minorly injure the Scorpion King with her little knife, and he goes, ow!
Yeah.
Ugh, just beat for beat.
I'll say it's a good trick that this movie pulls, where it makes you feel like the sorcerer, because you can easily see 30 minutes ahead in this film. Like,
and then he pulls her underwater and to avoid the guards, and somehow like the pool just drains, and they're like down this gigantic like sewer drain, and they get flushed out into a well where she basically flashes some kids, and then he like throws a cloak around her and they make off, before the guards find them.
What an escape.
The funny guy has to leave the bar that he's at, and he steals the camel. And then the alchemist freaks out because the guards are gonna maybe come for him, and they threatened him before. And the funny guy actually makes off with the camel before Scorpion King uses some of that magic editing to just show up. I noted here that I have been calling him Scorpion King the whole time. And yes, his name is Matthias. So I think I just refer to him as Matthias now for the rest of the movie.
Maddie.
Maddie the Scorp King.
Yeah, Maddie Scorps.
And his plan now is to keep the sorceress alive until he can get close enough to kill Memnon. So Memnon obviously orders Matthias tracked down and killed, and he poisons an arrow with scorpion venom to be used to kill him. Just stab him.
What a weird weapon to have. Like, scorpion venom.
Just like stab him a lot.
Got cobras all over the fucking place too. Like, come on, my guy. There's better venoms you can use. Like, why a scorpion? Doesn't
he also have like a pair of like tigers that you see for like one scene and then never again?
Yep.
You would think that they would set those up to be like, oh, he's gonna fight some tigers at one point. Doesn't happen.
They blew too much of the budget by the time I got to the tiger scene.
Like, on the CGI ants and snakes.
Yeah, the CGI yak piss.
The CGI yak piss. So Matthias takes the sorceress and the funny guy to the Valley of the Dead, which I guess was home at one point for him. I'm not really sure. The sorceress tries to escape in the middle of the night, and it's blue, so we know it's night. And it turns out that Matthias has her tied to his leg in case she tries to do just that. And they definitely don't have any sexual chemistry here, fighting before she talks about how Memnon has held her captive since she was 10. It's pretty fucked up. So yeah, this guy's a weenie. Matthias talks to this fucking camel again in this part, and sees that they're being tracked down and drops off the other two to hide under blankets as a sandstorm is approaching. Because, of course, there's a sandstorm scene in this movie.
Yeah. Why wouldn't there be?
Matthias charges at the guys tracking him down with the sandstorm at his back, which he uses cover to attack them. And they wind up seeking shelter in a cave, which also has sinkholes in it, as a couple of guys die hilariously, just like, getting sucked down. So they have to step on a bunch of rocks to traverse this cave. And Matthias is hiding like in sand and in alcoves to take the goons out one by one. And like, man, this cave set looks like shit. It looks like the one from Leprechaun 4.
Like the same room reused over and over again.
Yeah, it looks so bad. Eventually, he's down to killing the last few, but the leader stabs him with the poisoned arrow. He manages to survive the next day and rises out of the sand in the most ridiculously over-the-top, badass manner possible and pulls the poison arrow out, then falls down because, duh, he's poisoned. And the sorceress is like, if he survives, the blood of the scorpion will always flow through his veins. So she uses CGI magic to suck the venom from him, which almost kills her. And yeah, this looks so stupid.
I completely forgotten she was like a sorceress. So this happened and I was like, she's magic now? It's like, oh yeah, she's a sorceress, I guess.
Yeah, like the use of magic in this movie is just so goofy and lame. Like, I just want to see a guy like extend his lower jaw and suck people's life essence. That's cool and insane. Like, that's what I want to see. Like, I want to see, that's the kind of shit, like controlling the undead, bringing people back to life, controlling, clouds of evil bugs, not basically like not kissed you and your venom, which also, why is the venom glowing?
Yeah, and why can you suck it out like that through their mouth? You're just sucking out like venomous vapor.
Vaping's bad for you.
Yeah.
Says guy who's like immediately vaping. She says that she believes that the Scorpion King can free the people from Memnon. His fucking name. Memnon. Matthias sends a message back to Memnon with a little carrier hawk thing set to some badass guitar orchestral music. And he sends him back with his like head goons amulet thing to show that he's still alive. So Memnon is like panicking and he orders a big feast before the campaign. He doesn't tell anybody that the sorceress has been taken, which I find weird because it's pretty clear that she's gone.
Right, like she's just suddenly not there. The lady
Yeah.
that's like always by his side in every scene. Like, yeah, no, I just told her to hang out in her room tonight before our, during our dinner before the big campaign. Like, fine, don't worry about it.
So back in the desert, they just randomly come across King Theoden, again, testing out his stolen Chinese dynamite, and then wind up at an oasis. Like, what? Like, just, oh, hello, how are you? You like to just test random explosives out in the desert?
He's out there and he's like, all I needed was salt, and this place is filled with it. It's like, what is happening in this film? Why are you here? Like next to a big burned out crater.
They make their way to an oasis and then get ambushed by a bunch of people, and they run into the kid who helped out the Scorpion King earlier, and this is also Balthazar's camp. He orders them dead despite protests, and Matthias starts beating down guys, and then we get into a big fight between him and Balthazar. This is what we want, right? Just two big dudes fighting each other, right?
Yeah. Big meaty men slapping meat.
Well,
it's all about.
Apparently, like when their swords broke, that was not scripted, so they had to like improvise the fight scene after that, which I think is like, it's kind of fun. This is probably like, this is a way better fight than we get with Memnon, which is really corny. I think anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I didn't realize that was not scripted because that's like the scene, in my mind. Like they're swinging a sword.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool.
Wait, you don't think the scene is when he grabs a chicken by accident at one point?
God, I'd already forgotten about that, and I watched it like an hour ago.
This set looks really bad. This is where I made the comment of like, this really looks like a Stargate set, which prompted me to ask further, why haven't we gotten a Stargate Mummy crossover? Like,
it's right
prime
there.
Seems like a prime idea to me.
Let's make it happen.
So obviously they wind up not killing each other. And that evening, during dinner and chill time, Cassandra sees a premonition after patting a young boy on the head that everybody dies, including Matthias and herself. So she pops in to tell him about her vision and says that Memnon will kill everyone, to which he says, Memnon will die by my hand. And we get another vision. It's that early 2000s choppy slow-mo, where it's not really slow motion, it's just fuzzy, and like little parts are clipped out. You know what I mean?
The classic like hazy flashback. Like
what is that?
The little snippets. Like
what is that noise?
You probably hear. So there are these dipshits that live in my apartment complex that every day they carry a boombox and they play some song on it, and the other person has a guitar. They don't know how to play guitar. They just strum away whatever the fuck and sing along to it, and they circle the complex a couple of times. So they haven't been doing it this past week because it's been fucking cold out, but they're back.
How is it that all of you on I Hope You Suffer managed to move next to people that are fucking out of their goddamn minds?
Insane. I want them to fight Katie's Joker neighbor.
and Nathan had motorcycle guy, right?
Yeah. For the longest time, he had motorcycle neighbor. I had motorcycle neighbor too.
This is an anti-motorcycle podcast now.
Motorcycle, yeah. Sorry about that, but
oh yeah, no problem. I was just like, what is that? I was like, did Hooch turn on the TV?
I can never tell if it will come through on this because like the iPad's like background noise isolation stuff is generally pretty decent, but they're so loud. They're so loud.
It's okay. It's worth it for the story. Just like boombox guitar combo. Very odd.
It's so dumb.
So obviously the Scorpion King and Cassandra the Sorceress bone. Like, duh. And Sarah pointed out that he's wearing a lot of lip gloss in this movie. Very noticeable in this scene.
He's out in the desert, like,
gotta protect that. She talks the camel into helping her get back to Memnon, and he wakes up to find her gone and heads out, waking up Balthazar in the process, who, helps out Scorpion King, along with his band of warriors. So there's a big shindig going down at Gomorrah. Memnon soldiers say they believe the sorceress is no longer at his side because she hasn't been seen around. Like, duh, Memnon, why didn't you think nobody would notice? But hey, she's here. She shows back up. Another thing I forgot about is his horrible skullet thing. Like, I don't even know what to call it. Like, it's so bad. I know you have a bit of a skullet, but his is like thumbs down.
This is much worse because it's got like it's kind of braided in the back too. It's like
I think you can also tell that he has like normal hair and then big fake hair attached to the back of his head.
Yes, the like extensions back there.
Not impressive. So the funny guy sneaks Balthazar and a bunch of the warrior ladies in via cart while Matthias scales the walls and takes out guards. Just want to note that Michael Clark Duncan is in light drag in this scene, basically, because he's in disguise with the women. And I'm like, you could just put him in there. It's fine.
Yeah.
It would be surprising regardless to see Michael Clark Duncan like hiding inside the back of a tiny little cart.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Cassandra lies about Memnon's success because she's lost her power of foresight because she boned the Scorpion King, and Memnon calls her out on this.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. I fucked somebody and lost my superpowers.
Dang it. Could just have been making up the whole time for all he knows.
I like to think that.
Super lucky.
And she's like, just said that to be like, oh, now I don't have to be employed anymore by Memnon. Cool. Idiot, believe me. So he tests her by putting snakes in vases and then spinning it around on their platform and making her guess which ones are empty or not. Such a like ridiculous 2000s scene, I feel. Just like, you need to do this. It's that era's version of like name 3 songs.
Yeah. Like, who would think like, oh, well, she might have lost her power of vision. We should probably put some snakes in jars and like see if she can find out which ones have the snakes in them or not. Like, yeah, sure, man.
Meanwhile, she's just like, oh, the snake is clearly in this one that's trying to get out.
Yeah. It's like horrible hissing sounds from one of them. Like, I think it's in that one.
So everyone starts to break in and kill people, and they're setting up explosive powder on like this. The plan is to set it up on like the central column of the palace to like blow things up. Cassandra finally pulls a cobra out, or rather a CGI cobra, to keep Memnon at bay.
So brutally bad.
It's so like, stupid.
The hand and the snake don't sync up at all, so it's like her hand is half a second ahead of the snake.
It happens later too with the Rock. Like he's holding a snake back from killing him, and it's clear that there's just like a weird blue screen like puppet thing there. It's so terrible. He eventually does show up, and there's a big sword fight between him and Memnon. The funny guy and King Theoden find the central column thing, and they start to put down all the explosives. Memnon breaks out, 2 swords, but then Balthazar shows up, and him and Matthias fight side by side. Memnon takes Cassandra captive, and Matthias slow-mo catches a sword from Balthazar through fire, and then jumps through a burning curtain, and Balthazar kills the shithead who betrayed his father earlier.
I love that it was like late 90s, early 2000s thing of like any kind of fantasy sci-fi movie where there's a bad guy. If we just gave him 2 weapons, it really makes it seem like he's a big obstacle to overcome. And like Darth Maul, like his lightsaber, 2 lightsabers actually. Like, oh fuck. How are we gonna get out of this one?
He did kill Qui-Gon.
That's true.
He did manage to kill one of them. But yes, I 1000% agree that like as soon as you give somebody 2 of something, oh man, it means business. Fuck. Oh wait, actually no, it doesn't help them at all.
Yeah, he's got 2 chainsaws. Fuck me.
Oh, this guy, like remember when it was really like it was after the Matrix, like 2 guns?
Yeah. Going guns akimbo.
Exactly. Oh, but come on, kid. It gets even better. It's not just 2 swords. He lights them on fire somehow.
Admittedly, again, super cool, but not helping you in any way here at all.
Also, when you see them up close, you can tell that it is really bad CGI fire.
Yeah. Yes.
So he finally gets the Scorpion King down, but he kick jumps up and disarms Memnon of his badly CGI'd fire swords. which the director said he had never seen a 6'3" man do that before. So
if he had tuned into Monday Night Raw for the 4 years prior, he would have every Monday night.
Happens on a regular basis.
It's constantly he's doing that.
And Archer shoots Matthias. Cassandra tries to save him, but he spins around and takes the arrow anyway. Also, his hair looks really bad in this. Like, the wig is really fake. Everybody else is getting outnumbered. Cassandra stabs a guy with a giant serving fork. Matthias rises up, yanks the arrow out of his back, and then takes aim at Memnon with it, who obviously doesn't catch this arrow because the movie is almost over.
He can't catch it because he has 2 swords.
And then everything explodes after the funny guy sets off the powder. Memnon turns into a burning fireball and yells, "Ah!" as he plummets down. Hilarious. Always love it. A burning bad guy at the end of the movie.
Fantastic. Can't go wrong.
Memnon
falling or burning, combine them. That's A+.
It's a great combination. Memnon's army bows down to Matthias, with him now dead. He is the king of Gomorrah. He bids farewell to Balthazar, says some silly stuff about destiny with Cassandra, and they're off to rule as we close out with fucking Godsmack. Exactly what I think of when I think of the fucking Scorpion King.
Same. Except now, it's been replaced by Nope. And how cool that Scorpion King cast and crew hoodie that he wears in it is.
That is true. I did forget that this movie did kind of get its reevaluation in some weird way through Nope.
Like, watching it again, like, I think I've watched it twice now since Nope has come out. And both times it's like, yep, no, this is still a really bad movie. But I still really want that Scorpion King cast and crew hoodie. Like, it looks really cool and it'd just be really funny to have.
It's the best thing about the Scorpion King's legacy.
Easily.
So yeah, Scorpion King is pretty silly. It's not great, but it's pretty harmless, you know, overall. It's
you could do worse.
You could do a lot worse. You know, it's 90 minutes. There's nothing really that egregious in it other than it being very 2000s goofy big budget production, and nobody is actually historically accurate to the characters they're playing.
Yeah. Definition of the like completely forgettable, inoffensive film, you know, like 2000s action film, which honestly is kind of like The Rock's entire filmography at this point, outside of Fast and Furious, probably is just inoffensive and forgettable.
Pretty much. Yeah, not very high up on my movies that I think of with quote unquote heavy metal soundtracks, which also kind of blows. Gotta be honest. It all just sounds the same.
It's no Freddy vs. Jason, that's for sure.
No. Oh yeah, I mean, one that I really want to do for this is Alone in the Dark, because Alone in the Dark has a fucking insane soundtrack. But I know we
did Alone in the Dark, and I've forgotten it. But
I know it's not good. But the soundtrack is pretty incredible. But we'll get there. So, have you watched anything good lately? I definitely have some an extensive list of stuff here that I've been watching over the last couple of months.
I have to pull up my Letterboxd app. It's the only way I remember fucking anything. I watched Curse of the 49er, pretty solid, by the great John Carl Buechler of
I think I have that on my list.
Go to College fame.
Nice.
It's pretty fun, like very silly sci-fi original type film. Venomous, which was not good, but it's got Treat Williams, and it's just like, hey, some snakes survive a terrorist attack and escape, and they spread like a horrible disease throughout a town, and the military's gonna nuke it. It's like,
weird.
Terrible 2000 Jason Biggs vehicle, Loser.
Boy.
Yeah, that's a bad film.
What did you watch that for? Because it was available?
It was 11 o'clock at night, and I was like,
okay,
I'll watch a dumb 2000 comedy movie. And I got what I asked for. And then the one like legitimately actual good movie that I've watched the past week was I watched Banshees of Inisherin this morning.
Oh, we watched that pretty
really
recently.
Good.
I thought that was really good too. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, very, Very sad.
Very, very Irish. Let's see. What did I watch? I watched Suspiria before I saw Goblin do their live
Hell yeah.
show, which was awesome. Obviously, Suspiria rules. Martyrs, the feel-good hit of 2008.
Yeah.
That fucking movie is... It's not a great time, but... I mean, I liked it, but it's not a great time.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I watched Barbarian. I did not like that movie.
Oh, really? I love
Yeah.
Barbarian.
I was not
Also
a fan.
lot, in a different way.
I was not a fan of that. Rewatched The Descent. I am still a fan of that.
Yes. Not a fan of Neil Marshall, though.
I haven't seen anything else he's done besides like the Game of Thrones episodes he did. So a lot of what he did after that didn't really stand out to me.
Descent, Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers is good, yes.
Yeah.
Dog Soldiers is really good.
Yeah. Don't watch anything else he's done. He's done like the Hellboy reboot, which was bad. He's got a new one on Shudder called The Lair, which is fucking dog shit. It's so bad I didn't even finish it, which I think speaks volumes about its quality.
Wow.
Because I'll fucking watch anything. I keep seeing like, oh hey, Neil Marshall did this, and he did The Descent and Dog Soldiers. It's worth a
Cool.
watch, and it's never worth a watch. It hasn't been worth a watch since The Descent.
I watched Krampus, which I thought was pretty good. I thought the ending was really dumb, though. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. I watched Mad God, the Phil Tippett movie. I don't really know what it was about, but it was fucking... It looked cool as hell. Like, I really enjoyed it. The Running Man, which is, like, okay. Kind of felt like Arnold was out of place on that one. Total Recall, which is perfect movie.
Yes.
Cyborg, R.I.P. Albert Pune. Very ridiculous and corny, but fun. So I gotta check out some more Albert Pune
So
movies. Have you ever seen The Last Broadcast?
That sounds familiar. What is it about?
It's like that found footage movie that came out around the same time as Blair Witch, and it might be about the Jersey Devil and some killings, and it has like a pretty aggressive... It's a pretty cool movie, that I thought, but without spoiling it, the twist at the end, I would be interested to see what your take on it is. I do not like it personally.
Okay.
it like counters the movie almost entirely. So
fuck.
But it was made on like a shoestring budget, so it's kind of interesting from like a production standpoint. But I don't like the creative choices they took with that movie.
Okay, I'll check that out.
We watched Men, which I didn't really know what the fuck that movie was about. I wasn't really into it. I know some people really liked it. Felt like there were people didn't think it was that great.
Yeah, I felt like one of very few people that liked it a lot.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, that guy's birthing himself for a reason. So yeah, that was, I don't know. I wasn't super into that one. Watched Nightmare on Elm Street 2 for the first time, which I liked, actually. I thought it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I can't believe it was so shat upon on release.
Yeah, it's not like perfect, but it's far from what the series would turn into. I've also been going through the Friday the 13th movies because they ran a special on Friday the 13th. So it's like, fuck it, I'll just buy these and finally watch them. So I watched the first one a while ago, and then I've watched 2, 3, 4, and 5. I really don't like any of these movies.
Oh, really?
No, not really. Like, I guess like 4 was probably the best of them. Like, the twist at the end of the first movie is obviously like really good, but like just everything else about the movies I don't like. So I'm getting closer to where it just gets very, very stupid.
Did you only make it to 4 or?
No, I got to 5, which is like the one with the imposter Jason. So I still have to get to Takes Manhattan, which I'm somewhat looking forward to because I've heard it's incredibly goofy and stupid. And he punches a dude's head off in it.
Takes Manhattan, I think, is one of my least favorite ones, actually.
Interesting.
Because outside of that, like, when he makes it to quote unquote New York, that is obviously Toronto, the whole hour leading up to that is real boring. Nothing really happens. He's on a boat. Like,
yeah, that's the part that I keep telling Sarah. I'm like, yeah, he's mostly on a boat. He doesn't really take Manhattan.
He's in Manhattan for like a brief 10-minute stay, but it's a pretty good 10 minutes while he's there.
my goal for this year is to watch like the classic slasher sequels because I haven't really seen most of them. I've only sort of seen like the essentials of the series. So far I've done all those Friday the 13th. We watched Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, 3, and 7. I think let's be real, 4, 5, and 6 take a pretty drastic drop in quality, and I was like, I didn't really think Sarah was going to be into those.
I like 4 and 5 because they're basically just 3 all over again. Twice.
They're just kill movies.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the same basic concept. Like, oh well, the whole cast from the last one got murdered, and now it's a new group of friends that learns how to fight in their dreams, and like it's pretty fun. I've got a Dream Child poster, so I'm biased.
I like Dream Child. I mean, I think Nightmare 1, 2, 3, and 7 are all like pretty good movies. So right now, I'm of the opinion that like based on what I've seen so far, my order of preference would be I think Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, only because I haven't seen 2 through 4, Halloween, and then Friday the 13th. And I won't include Child's Play in that just yet because I haven't seen anything past the second Child's Play, and I need to give that a rewatch too.
I think Child's Play is probably up there for me.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where Child's Play will go on here on the list because from what I remember, Nightmare on Elm Street 6 is pretty bad. And the Halloween series takes like a 90-degree drop in quality after the third movie and then doesn't really do anything good. I think Halloween is probably going to exist somewhere around Friday the 13th for me, but we'll see as I tear away into this. And then there's like a million Hellraiser sequels.
Yeah, fuck. Hellraiser. I don't know, I've got a soft spot for Hellraiser. They're all, because like every sequel to Hellraiser is not supposed to be a Hellraiser movie, so they're all like some degree of pretty weird and endearing. So,
and then just some other movies I watched. I finally watched King of New York. That movie is ridiculous.
Fuck yeah.
But I liked it. Fucking Larry Fishburne in that movie is incredible. Rewatch Dodgeball. Has some not great moments, but generally still pretty enjoyable. Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was great. Loved it. Watched The Northman finally. I think it's probably Eggers' weakest film so far. I definitely prefer The Witch and Lighthouse, personally speaking. Like, it started out really good, and then I was kind of like, he's not enough murdering in this.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it a whole lot. Like, I like it more than most movies probably, but I also think it's probably his weakest. Witch being strongest and Lighthouse close second. But if he went and just did like super fucking weird kind of meditative like Conan the Barbarian style action movies from now on, I wouldn't be too mad about that.
Yeah, I preferred Valhalla Rising if we're talking like Viking movies.
Oh yeah.
Watched A Knight's Tale, which is a totally fine movie, albeit kind of odd. Rewatched Rogue One. I'm a big fan. Watched Sideways. I fucking hated that movie. Tombstone, which rocks. Sarah's from Arizona. She'd never seen it, so we had to watch it. Watched Santa's Little Helper, which is a terrible Christmas movie starring The Miz.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's so bad. I did it for a wrestling podcast.
Brutal.
This Place Rules, which is the Andrew Callahan documentary about far-right weirdos. And since that came out, he's been accused of being a fucking creep. So I was kind of like, I don't know how to feel about this now. I thought it was like okay overall too. Like, some interesting stuff. And I have an interest in like conspiracy theory nut jobs, but like, and there's some bleak shit, but I don't know. I kind of like struggled to see like what it was kind of really about, because like a lot of this is in the news all the time.
Yeah,
because we live
like
in hell.
It's just the world. It's just the world we exist in all the time.
Yeah. Roadhouse I finally watched. That movie is fucking insane.
I've never seen it.
Dude, it is absurd. It is so ridiculous. I was mystified by it. It is quite possibly the purest form of what people think reality was in the 80s. And I've been watching all of the Rocky movies too. So I watched 3 today, and I previously watched 1 and 2 a while ago. Fish Called Wanda, which is a great movie. Highly recommend
That movie
it.
fucking rules.
It's so good. It's so fucking good. Finally saw Raging Bull, which is great. Much better than Rocky, in my opinion. Finally got to see this. I've been wanting to see this for a long time, and I got it on DVD from a friend for my birthday. Finally saw Sorcerer. So fucking good.
I still need to watch that.
You'll love it. It's like the perfect mix of like vibes and also holy shit, this movie is like an insane Heart of Darkness journey. And the soundtrack is incredible.
I've listened to the soundtrack like 100 times. Soundtrack's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like I bought it. I've got the record for it. But just like I keep thinking I need to watch Sorcerer, but I don't know that it's ever like really streaming on anything, and I just have yet to just fucking buy it because I know I'm gonna love it.
It's so good. Like it's a movie that I don't think it could come out now, and I don't know. It just occupies such a very small, specific time period in the history of film, and it's really, really, really fucking interesting. And it has a really weird, like, plot line that's basically just about a bunch of guys who are. There's your motorcycle.
Yep, new motorcycle neighbor.
It's basically just about a bunch of dudes that are all like criminals and lowlifes that have to bring a bunch of dynamite to an oil refinery fire because that's the only way you can put out an oil refinery fire, and just the fucking insane crazy shit they have to deal with to get through that, to cross 200 miles through the fucking jungle in South America.
Fuck yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. I finished Better Call Saul, Primal, Andor, watched The Trip and The Trip to Italy. Also watched Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, which I thought overall was good. There was one episode that I thought was really, really bad, but there were more good episodes than bad episodes in that.
Which one did you think was the bad one?
The one with Ron Weasley.
Oh yeah, the Pickman's model. Is that what it was? It was one of the Lovecraft ones. I thought both the Lovecraft ones were pretty weak.
I thought the first episode was really good. I thought the third episode with the like autopsy with F. Murray Abraham was really good.
One
a little too long maybe, but F. Murray Abraham fucking was great in that. The Stuff kind of one with
with skincare.
Yeah, with Bill Hader. Was it Bill? Yeah. Martin Starr. Sorry.
Martin Starr, yeah.
Yeah, and Kate McCucci or whatever her name was. That was good. And Dan Stevens. And then the Panos Cosmatos one was probably the highlight. You know, that one was really great. Probably my favorite thing he's done so far. And the last episode was good too. And I'm not really a ghost person, like a big fan of I'm definitely not a ghost person. I'm alive. But I'm not a really big fan of ghost stories, but I did like that one. I thought it was solid. I thought the rat one was like whatever. And then the Ron Weasley one was really bad. And I thought there was another one that was in there the one with Crispin Glover was like, I was like, this was not great. But overall leaned good than bad, I thought. And far, we started watching The Last of Us, been watching Fargo, and that Day of the Dead show that you guys were talking about, which is it's okay. It's not great.
Yeah.
Zombies look so good in it, and I'm like, man, I wish this was better.
I'll say Steven's stuff in it is real good. And
yes.
I was not a fan of much of anything else.
No. So, and because this did start out as a doom metal podcast, I'll just quickly do some doom recs to keep up with the times. I really liked the Coral Tombs by Ahab. You can listen to my interview with them at Toilet of Hell. This new album by the band Tribunal off $20 Spin is fucking great. It's like real
so good.
Isn't it? It's awesome. It's like real old school gothy doomy vibes.
It's perfect.
Love it. And the new album by Nephilim's News is really good too. So that's what I've been listening to. And so that was the Scorpion King. And Kit, you got like anything you want to shout out or anything like that?
Check out my other podcast, I Hope You Suffer. I think we are I Hope You Suffer Pod on Instagram. Nathan is our plug and hype guy, so I forget all of the stuff. He runs all the socials. So, well, if you look up I Hope You Suffer, it's on there. We've been banned from Twitter like 1,000 times and gave up on Twitter. So don't look for us there.
Everyone should give up on Twitter.
Yeah, basically.
It's awful.
It's slightly more unusable every day, which is kind of fun. Get home from working like 10 hours and log in for the first time, and it's like, oh, how is this broken today?
Yeah, I don't use Twitter. I just read one Twitter account on there, and every time I log on to look at it, it just says like this tweet is unavailable, and then it just loads like out of nowhere. It's really bizarre. It just doesn't work. Like I used to not be able to look at it very much because I would scroll down and be like, join Twitter to be able to see more. And whatever person Elon fired that was in charge of the make sure people don't look at Twitter unless they have an account, and whatever function they turned off, you can leave it off. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So no Movies from Green Hell or Diary of Doom on Twitter. You can just follow it on Instagram, like it on Facebook. Next episode will be out first Friday of
April.
We will, I don't know, put out a tease or something as to what it is. I'm sure it's, I'll give a slight hint. It'll be just as early 2000s as this fucking movie.
Dun, dun.
My shout out, I'm going to shout out Fight Like Hell, the book by Kim Kelly about the history of labor unions in the country. It's a very good read, very informative. Kim's
Nice.
Good people. And we'll shout out Hooch too.
Yeah. Sorry, there's a dog in the courtyard that barked, so he's up.
He's got to defend his territory.
It's like you weigh 19 pounds. Your bark is not terribly intimidating. Like,
yeah, you're going to be able to take that. You're going to
bit.
be able to take that big boy out.
Like, as far as I know, he can't even bite. It's like has a very tiny jaw. Come on.
I mean, he basically looks like a small alien frog.
He does. He is a Muppet. Like, he's not a real animal. He's a Muppet.
Yeah, but he rules, and he's your Muppet.
Yes. I love him.
We stan Hooch on this podcast. All right, well, that'll do it for this episode of Movies from Green Hell. Thank you for coming on again, Kit. I'm sure we'll have you back on again in the future at some point. Check out I Hope You Suffer, and we'll see you next time for whatever dog shit we have to sit through.
So what are you waiting for?
You see that one up there? He's been drinking that yak piss for about an hour now, and sometime very soon... Ah, you see?